right, ladies. So let's get on with this. Welcome to day 3 of the Menopause Reimagined workshop. Super excited that you are here. So if you have not been on the last couple of days, I recommend that you do have a look at the replays, because how I've put this little mini workshop together is all the sort of puzzle pieces fit together. And yesterday, I did a really deep dive into nutrition. The first day, we did mainly going into kind of mindset. And today, I'm going over the other pieces of the puzzle. Because here's the thing, you know, the sort of, as we've talked a lot about this week, the old way of doing things was that you would tackle one area of your life. You would go, okay, so I'm just going to, I've got to get my diet into place, or I've got to start dialing in my exercise, or, oh, I've heard this thing, I should be intermittent fasting, or, oh, there's this supplement, if I take this supplement to get my supplement sorted out, right? It's what I call this kind of one thing approach. And in the past, many of us have done that. I mean, come on, ladies, put in the chat, how many of you have tried diets in the past? Diets, right? A diet is that one approach. If I just get this diet sorted out, then I can lose my belly fat, get into shape, and everything will be great. Well, unfortunately, it's not the case. And the new way, and frankly, the only effective way, is to take a fully holistic approach where we are attending, you are attending to every single area of your life possible. It's having a holistic toolbox that you can use with a number of tools. And I would say certainly the toolbox that I lay down contains all the necessary tools for you to get the outcome you want, which in the case with most women I work with, and most women I work with are over 40, but I actually say the majority are over 50. And if you're in early menopause, late menopause, pre-menopause, perimenopause, it doesn't matter. I think we can all agree that most of us, the outcome we want is to be in ideal shape, release fat that doesn't feel good on our body, that isn't healthy to have on our body, release belly fat, get our energy back, feel vibrant, age-proof our bodies, minimize menopausal symptoms, right? We all want that. Let me know a resounding yes in the chat if that's what you want. So if that's what you want, then just doing this one thing over there is not going to cut it. It's just not. And unfortunately, when we are in social media, in the social media and the information world that we live in, this really plays into, right, do this one thing and everything will change, right? And so we listen to that, and then we go off and we sort of try that one thing, and then we come back very disappointed when it doesn't work and it hasn't given us results. You're a whole person, right? You are holistic, your body, everything in your life. So we need to treat the whole. And if you want to do this, and if you want to do it in a way that is drug-free or as drug-free as possible, you don't want to have to take medications, whether it's, you know, medications for high blood pressure, high cholesterol, or a weight loss medication. If you choose to do a more holistic approach, which if you can do it, try it, because then you're empowered, you're in the driving seat, and you've got the tools for the rest of your life. You don't have to rely on a subscription service. All right. So let's now go along to my slides. I'm going to share my trusty slides. Let me just get on here. We're going to start here. Hopefully you can all see my slides clearly. And I'm going to dive in straight in. Remember, take notes. If you have questions as we go along, please keep your questions until the end so that I can really get through this. So the 5 steps to optimal health in menopause and beyond are, we talked about this a lot yesterday, a plant-based dietary pattern. Okay, it does not have to be vegan, doesn't have to be 1,000,000% plant-based. There's lots of wiggle room in there, but it's got to be well planned. And in most cases, it really helps to have it customized and personalized for you. But nonetheless, you saw all the science that I laid down yesterday. We need clinical proof, right? Because there's a lot of stories out there on the internet. So let's stick to the clinical proof. Plant-based dietary pattern focused on reducing visceral fat, and lowering your risk of chronic disease. Because honestly, what we are talking about age-proofing your body. Here we are, many of you, not all of us, but in peri, early or late menopause. And as I said yesterday, for me anyway, and I'm 60, it's not about me desperately trying to get into get a bikini body. That couldn't be further from what I'm interested in right now. What I'm interested in is age-proofing my body so that I can be strong, vibrant, feel amazing, and be the 70 and 80-year-old and God willing, 90-year-old that I want to be. Now, that's going to take some work to do that and some knowledge and some skills. As I said yesterday, it's not willpower. We can't willpower our way through this. It's skill power. You need to know what the skills are. And that's what I show you to do. I give you the specific skills, or, also known as tools, that you can really dial this in so that every day you can be in current time, laying the foundation, putting the deposits in for the woman that you choose to be. In my program, in Ignite Your Life, we call it your future dream self, or your future desired self. You need to start being very clear on who she is and have that outcome and be very connected to that. So, plant-based dietary pattern. Next, and it's not a diet, it's not restrictive in terms of calorie counting or portion control, or you're going to hear from Rachel later, you'll hear from every single woman that I have ever worked with, and we almost giggle about it on coaching calls, because everybody is so enjoying their food, they're so enjoying their life, they're so enjoying everything. And I say, wait, ladies, take a minute, let's just take a beat here. We need to pause for a moment here. I'll have 10 women on a call, and everybody's just enjoying their life, and it's so easy and nourishing. And I go, and they're releasing weight. And I'm like, nobody, does this sound like anybody's on one of those restrictive diets, meaning I'm on it with my clutch, like white knuckling it, and then I'm not. Anything that you have to get on and then you're going to be off is a total waste of time. Don't do it. Don't touch it with a barge pole. It is the old way of doing things. How many of you tried that? And then it leads to failure, and you blame yourself because you go, oh, I couldn't stick to it, I'm a failure. No, not true. It was just too difficult and it wasn't sustainable for you to make it a lifestyle. Okay, let's get back to these 5 steps. So 1 is the nutrition. 2 is sleep and intermittent fasting. 3, multimodal exercise, right, for bone and muscle health. 3 is mental fitness and stress management. And 4 is social connection and life purpose. Right, let's dig in and let's review, particularly for those of you who didn't attend yesterday, let's review this plant-based dietary pattern. Notice I'm very intentionally not saying diet, only because, a diet just means what you eat. But I think so many of us associate the word diet with being on this extreme sort of weight loss diet. And I want you to change your mindset around that. I want you to change your mindset to this is about health and age-proofing my body. And if I put that first, then you're going to lose the weight. You're going to lose the belly fat. You're going to be in good health. Another little reminder here is, it's not about losing weight anyway, because scale weight is not the most accurate measurement of what's really going on with your health. So we'll get to that again in a minute. All right, so enjoy calorically diluted foods, right? So really what we're doing and what we're able to do when we're on when we're following a plant-based dietary pattern is we're able to include a lot of calorically very dilute foods in our diet, and we get very full from these foods. And when we get full from, non-starchy veggies and other complex carbs, when we get full, it signals stretch receptors in our stomach, and it actually signals further down in our dietary tract the release of GLP-1. And GLP-1, you've all heard of it, but it's really what Ozempic and Wegovy and all those drugs, they are agonists, meaning they mimic, but they put this huge rush of GLP-1 in your system that stays in your system for hours and hours. But what's fascinating to me is that you can stimulate it naturally, but only if you eat the right foods in the right way. And that's why diets like sort of keto and those very low carb diets, they're not going to do that. You haven't got a chance of that GLP-1, release. Enjoy foods that boost metabolism is really exciting as well. So a lot of these foods that we eat in Ignite actually boost postprandial burn, which is your metabolism after you've eaten the meal. So you're going to have burn after you eat any kind of food. It's thermogenesis, but you can really up that metabolic burn by eating certain foods. And that's very, very exciting. And actually, that was shown in one of the studies that I showed you yesterday, the 16-week study, where Hannah Kaliova, it was a randomized control study, pitted, two groups, randomized control, one group, Mediterranean diet, lots of fish and the usual thing people are told to eat, lots of lean protein and chicken and salmon and olive oil and blah, blah, blah. And then the other was a plant-based, very low in oil and fat. And the plant-based, very oil and low in fat, one of the many benefits, including lowering insulin resistance, belly fat, and everything else, was boosting metabolism. That was one of the big things that was measured. Enjoy foods that heal your gut health. So if you're eating foods that impair gut health, and remember yesterday, I showed you how there's something called estrobloom. And when your estrogen declines in menopause, right, the bad bacteria, I'm putting this very simplistically, the pathogenic bacteria blooms. Unfortunately, it can overtake the good bacteria, which is why so many women have bloating and gas, or it gets worse in menopause. So what can we do, ladies, to start healing the health of our gut, our microbiome? Well, there's only two foods or two components of food that can do that: soluble and insoluble fiber found in a plant-based dietary pattern. Saturated fats, that's why, again, so many people that do these very high protein, high fat, sort of keto paleo kind of diets, they get constipation. Their digestion isn't right. It doesn't feel good. Never mind the fact that it's not sustainable. Ladies, we have to heal your gut. We have to. Now, when women work with me and come to me, we need to sometimes work with you personally, because sometimes suddenly including all of these fibers can be a little bit too much. For some of you, it depends on your baseline gut health when you start coming in, but we work with you to do that. Enjoy foods that release GLP-1 naturally. I've already talked about that. Enjoy eating slowly and mindfully to release GLP-1 as well. Now, it's not your fault. It's not, I'm guilty as charged with this one of gulping and eating my food quickly, but I've had to learn, and it's been a real game changer over the last 5 years, to really slow down when I eat and chew thoroughly and mindfully, which means not eating in front of a screen, not eating in front of TV, because when we eat in front of a screen, we're completely mindless. And then we eat quickly, and studies have been done where people eat 40% more food when they're eating in front of a screen. Because what happens is you're eating quickly, and there isn't time for the food to get to where it needs to in your digestive tract to release GLP-1. Do you see? So all of this comes together so beautifully. Once you get this, it's just magical. It's magical. Once you enact this, put it into place, there's no looking back. Enjoy healthy whole fats and anti-inflammatory proteins. When women are like, oh, but what about fats? You've said low in oil, you said low in da-da-da-da. Well, yeah, you need lots of healthy fats, but let's get them from whole sources. A good example is 1 tablespoon of olive oil, which is a refined oil. I think it's like you would have to eat 44 olives or something like that, to get the same amount of olive, the same, calories in that. So fats and oils are 9 calories per gram as opposed to 4. And so we want to be very judicious where we get those fats and oils from, and make sure that the healthy fats that we eat have fiber in them, and they have all the polyphenols in them, and they're super, super healthy. Protein, we want plenty of protein. Most women over the age of certainly 60 don't get enough protein anyway, even eating an omnivorous diet. So I need to show you how to get enough protein. It can be challenging to get enough protein, and certainly to get enough anti-inflammatory, the best kind of protein that isn't packaged along with saturated fat and cholesterol. There's the beautiful balance. But if you learn the skill on how to do that and how to dial it in, it's an absolute game changer. And enjoy whole, minimally processed foods, avoid saturated fat, refined starch, added sugar, salt, and alcohol, also known as the poisons. Okay, more detail, we went into that yesterday. Now, let's go to sleep and intermittent fasting, because this is a very important piece of the puzzle. Right, less than 6 hours of sleep is associated with fat gain, and particularly visceral fat. Fascinating study done quite recently where participants were randomized. And it was really interesting, actually, because when people study participants do a study, they get paid for doing these studies if it's a well-designed study. You can imagine they had to do it. If it's a well-designed randomized controlled study, there's a crossover. So half the people started off getting enough sleep, plenty of sleep, like about 8 to 9 hours of sleep a night. And this was the outcome that was tested, was visceral fat. And then the other half was sleep deprived. Literally, they had like 4 hours of sleep, 4 to 5 hours of sleep a night. And then it was crossed over. And, the results were very, very, very significant. So if you're not getting enough sleep, there's an issue. And we have to really learn how to dial that in. And there's a way to dial that in. And the way to dial it in isn't just to focus on how do I get more sleep, in terms of what do I do when I'm actually sort of in the bed, or do I just pop a melatonin supplement? No, the way to get adequate sleep is to look at how you're living your day. More on that in a moment. Okay, so here we go. An early, regular bedtime is critical. It is critical. We're talking about setting your circadian rhythms now. And so early, all my clients in the program, that's what we start moving towards, a way, way earlier bedtime. Ladies go from going to bed at 11 or even, later, to we start edging it back until we get to about 9:30 or latest 10 p.m. This is critical. It makes a massive difference. But the real key here, ladies, is regular bedtime, because you train your rhythms. A circadian rhythm is trainable, and we need to train it. You need to develop a different habit, and it doesn't take very long to do that. It's also helpful if you learned how to create boundaries about your bedtime. I haven't really got time to get into this now in this training today. I touched on this on Tuesday, but it's all about when you put yourself first, it's all about really creating boundaries, personal inner boundaries within yourself, and drawing lines in the sand, non-negotiable lines in the sand, which is a really big part of what I teach women how to do in the Ignite program, in my methodology, and creating boundaries also around other people, because there could be other people and other factors in your life that are keeping you up later at night. Well, what is that costing you? What are those people costing you? If that is costing you your sleep, which it affects absolutely everything, then that's something we need to really look at, and you might need help in changing that. Eating light, protein-rich, low-sodium foods for dinner really helps sleep, okay? So, you don't obviously want to eat a really big, heavy meal. You want to leave at least 3 hours before before dinner and bed. With intermittent fasting, the sort of gold standard of intermittent fasting is to fast overnight. Why? Because it's more natural, right? Think about it. It's your natural circadian, that is the light rhythms of your body and the day. So when people do all this crazy intermittent fasting of, oh, my you know, only my eating window is right at the end of the day, my 4-hour eating window, probably not a great idea for your sleep and for your overall holistic health. Just not a good idea, right? Eating low sodium foods at night is very important, because if you're eating foods that have a little bit too much sodium or salt in them, then that's bringing more volume of liquid into your blood, and you're going to be peeing more during the night. That's something that in menopause, often, you know, we're contending with anyway. Leave at least 3 hours after dinner and before bed without food. This is kitchen closed. This is probably one of the most challenging things for my clients, because I don't know about you ladies, but often it's that late time in the evening when after dinner, you know, we were chatting about this actually on a coaching call last night, when, you know, you've had a hard day, you're stressed. A lot of us have habits. We've developed habits of snacking, right? And that's how we meet our need for comfort. Do you remember yesterday we talked about meeting your human needs, one of which is comfort? Let me know who's a comfort eater here, right? I think we're all of us do it to some degree, but we really want to look at what is perhaps a better strategy for meeting that need, whereby you're not indulging in these habits that don't feel good and are adding unnecessary weight and fat to your body. So kitchen closed, again, this is boundaries, and it's learning all these boundaries. Again, no eating or snacking after 9 p.m. I'd say 9 p.m., whatever happens for absolutely everybody, if you want to be successful, that's where you want to draw your line. And I would say fast for 14 hours. You know, in Ignite, we say 12 to 14 hours. We're not too rigid about it. We work with the individual because it depends. Some women their work hours are all over the place. Or sometimes I've got one client in right now who literally works nights. She's on hospital duty. She's a nurse. So, you know, we work with you to make this work, but these are the generalities that you want to start moving towards. Magnesium threonate and ashwagandha supplements can help at night. I prefer that to melatonin. A nurturing evening routine, meeting, as I've just said, your needs for comfort at a higher level. So if you're meeting your needs for comfort now by staying up late on emails or doom scrolling or watching hours, binge watching Netflix, I get that that can be fun sometimes and we kind of numb ourselves and whatnot. But again, let's have you teach yourself to sometimes meet some of those needs at a higher level. Because can you see, all of this relates, how everything holistically works together. Notice I'm talking about sleep here, but I'm not saying just, you know, there's again this great big focus on 6 ways to get more sleep. And it's not the obvious things, it's how you live in the day that affects how you're going to sleep at night. Yes, do turn all lights down. Have lights on dimmers, avoid blue light. I have these glasses. These are daytime glasses that block light from computers and whatnot. But more importantly, where are they? I have my nighttime glasses, right, which are blue light blocking glasses. Really, really important, particularly if you have a trouble sleeping. All right, so cortisol and circadian rhythms. So we're sort of in the same territory here. Ladies, if you don't get these pieces dialed in, I can just tell you no amount of changing your dieting or exercising more or changing the way you exercise. Please, if there's one thing you learn from this workshop this week, all these puzzle pieces have to fit together. They just have to fit together. That's why you'll hear me say over and over again, it's a holistic solution you need. Women in menopause have higher cortisol release. And unfortunately, high cortisol release is connected with belly fat. It is this vicious cycle, because more cortisol release, and then that's more stress. It's the stress hormone. You know, that leads to more inflammation. More inflammation leads to more visceral fat. We really talked yesterday, we went into the details of what visceral fat is, right? The difference between subcutaneous, visceral, and ectopic fat, and really understanding that, because bottom line, I think, you know, there's very few women over 50 that I know that don't want to release some visceral fat. So that's what I'm really, you know, focusing in on, because it's such a root cause of so many other issues, such as insulin resistance, high LDL levels, etc. So morning routine, we talked about early to bed, regular bedtime. It's pretty much the same with the morning. early to rise and regular rise time. So for me, I'll be in bed at 9:30, 9 to 9:30 most nights, and I get up at 5:45, 6 o'clock, and it's a perfect rhythm. And it's taken me a little while to set these circadian rhythms, but now they're set. When I wake up in the morning, I mean, my team can't believe it. Catherine and Wendy, they're just like, you've got and I don't drink coffee, but I have so much energy when I wake up in the morning. You might have heard me say, wake up in the morning feeling kind of vibrant and everything. Well, you really can, but this is, how, not popping a supplement. Get daylight or L light in your eyes as soon as possible after waking. That's very, very important. This is how you set your circadian rhythms for the day. So you want to get daylight, ideally, in your eyes within 60 minutes of waking. Now, if you live in a northern hemisphere where it's absolutely impossible and it doesn't get light until 9 in the morning and gets dark at 4, then you might need to have something, an L light or a SAD light, which casts as light, and we get as much light as we can. Daylight is best, but if you have to go to a different kind of light, do it. Really important as soon as you wake up. Create a morning ritual that centers and connects with your future dream self, your higher power. This is a time for deep connection. Make it non-negotiable. You saw that's one of the human needs, right, that we talked about yesterday. On that pyramid, top of that pyramid is connection, deep connection with spirit, with what that is for you, whether it's deep prayer, contemplation, meditation, but always, always, always connecting with the outcome you want. Because if you lose that connection with your future dream self, your future desired self, if you lose that connection, or if you don't connect to it every day, then everything starts going downhill. Because what happens is that your mindset then just starts focusing on everything that's wrong in your life and all the challenges and problems that you've got right now, right? So as I often say to my clients, let's actually do this together right now. Okay, put one hand out in front of you, one hand, okay, 5 fingers, right? Look at that. That's all the problems and challenges and difficulties and to-do lists and things that you've got to do in your life, right? Put the other hand out in front of you. The other hand out in front of you is your outcomes, is your future dream self, is your goals, is everything that you want and dream of and you're connected of in your life, right? Okay, now put the hand down, the future dream self hand down, put it down. What are you looking at? What are you staring at? Put it in the chat. Problems, difficulties, challenges, I can't, it's too difficult, limitations. That's why you need to connect to your future self every single day. If you are sleep deprived, and I mean really sleep deprived, take a 20-minute nap, right? But no more than 20 minutes because it'll mess up your circadian rhythms. Also, we do something called Yoga Nidra in the program, which is a really, really deep relaxation that you can do in 10 minutes or 5 minutes. So that's an option as well. During your second cortisol release period, get out for a walk in the early afternoon. You know, what has been studied, and this is interesting to know, is 67 minutes being outside is optimal. So in Ignite, we try and make it doable. So we start with something that we call the Ignite Walk, which is a very, very specific way of walking, right? And ideally it's outside. And we start with 30 minutes. That's the bare minimum. And we build up from there. Outside is optimal because, again, it's setting circadian rhythms for the day. So set up your day for success by, this is another thing, set up your day for success by doing the 3 things you don't want to do first in the morning. So that's why, again, you know, when ladies join my program, they get this really beautiful journal. We set down our to-dos and itineraries and things like that. And you really want to look at that because there's always the things that we avoid and we push off and we put to one side. And who procrastinates? We all do it, right? And then we pick up our phone and we start scrolling on social media or anything other than doing the things that we don't want to do. Well, in Ignite, we do 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, blast off. We get those things done. We feel amazing and we move on. And start understanding when your most creative and productive time window is, because it is a little bit different for everybody. But once you start understanding when that is, then you can really be productive and utilize that time. So you need multimodal exercise to build muscle and prevent osteoporosis. Women in early and late menopause lose up to 13 pounds of lean muscle mass and bone. And this is why I do not like you fixating on the number of the scale on the scale. It's just not useful to do that, because you're going to lose that anyway. Well, we want to do the opposite, right? We want to we want to build lean muscle mass, right? Strong bones, while releasing fat. That is what we do with my methodology in Ignite. Remember, fat loss, not weight loss. You need to do resistance training and you need to lift heavy. So put away the pink weights, ladies, the pink bat one. I'm getting rid of my bat wing arms, little pink weights. They don't cut it. They're not going to do it. That is not how you're going to prevent osteopenia or slow down if you already have it, or osteoporosis. You need to learn how to lift heavy. Again, this is something that we do in Ignite, and you need to do it 2 to 3 times a week. You need to do a sit workout 2 times weekly. This is bursts of cardio. This is where you're really training your cardiovascular system in a way that is different from a HIIT workout that can raise cortisol levels. You need to do a 30-minute zone 2 walk. So we put that together with our Ignite walk minimum. I've already said that. And zone 2 is getting your heart rate up to talk test status. You can use trackers, but it should be that you're walking, that you wouldn't be able to easily finish a conversation with somebody. Now you're in zone 2, right? Functional exercises for mobility and balance. All of these things need to come into play. Ladies, if you're thinking, oh my God, when have I got time to fit that in? I work 10 hours a day. You're going to hear Rachel in a minute. She works, I think Rachel probably works 10 hours a day. I certainly do, right? But we find a way to exercise snack, to find a way how to fit these things in to the course of a very busy day and to integrate them until they become habits. Talking of habits, we learn to habit link and habit stack, which is where you're taking something that you already do, such as I'm brushing my teeth in the bathroom, right? Obviously in the bathroom, I'm brushing my teeth. So what habit can I link to that or stack to that, something that I already do? Well, I'll have my little weights and dumbbells on the bathroom counter, as odd as that sounds, because I need to see them. And every time I put my toothbrush down, I'll pick up my weights. That is a habit link or a habit stack, and it's very effective. Okay. Mental fitness, stress management. You need to develop a breathing practice that brings your cortisol levels down immediately. And if we have time at the end of this session, I want to get Rachel on because I know she's busy and she's got to go. So when we say bye-bye to Rachel, we might do this together at the end of the session. Practice RAIN to process emotions as they're occurring. We went deeply into this on Tuesday's session, but RAIN is a tool, a holistic tool that I give my clients, which processes emotions in real time as they're going on, as a child would do, frankly. You know, a child, when they're hurt or they're upset, they process it, they have a big ugly cry, and then 2 minutes later, they're gone. And they're back into the stream of life. As adults, we don't do that because we make wrong and we judge ourselves and we push it down and we second guess it and we make meaning. When you stop doing that and you learn just to process it, it's pretty powerful stuff. Deep inner work to address personal patterns, because the stress management tool, ladies, is such a big umbrella. And I think sometimes, I don't know about you, but when we hear, oh, stress management, well, you know, in our modern day environment, most of us have quite a lot of chronic stress. And so just to go, you've got to manage your stress. Well, really? Okay, well, how do I do that? You know, the worst thing that somebody could ever say to you is, oh, you're really stressed, calm down. It's like, what? It makes you even more stressed, right? So honestly, you need to have tools, practical tools. You can just pick up the breath work, the RAIN, the powerful questions that you ask yourself that can shift from a disempowering, freaking out stress, sort of stress response, fight, flight, freeze, into a resourceful state. That's what I'm talking about. Understanding your triggers and the reward system that you've set up. We've all got triggers and we've all set up these reward systems, which are these habits, whether it's comfort eating, procrastinating, doom scrolling, whatever it might be, that isn't in our best interest or is not in the interest of our future desired self. So let's find a different way. Let's set up different reward systems. Learn how to shift your emotional state by asking yourself powerful questions. We did that this week. Learn how to put your needs first. We talked this week about putting your oxygen mask on first. If you don't get that piece dialed in, then you're sunk. And I'm just being honest about that. Because if you're forever running around trying to do for everybody else and fix everybody else, and your needs are last, you will be burned out. Your well will be dry and you will not be able to serve. You can only serve from a full cup. Discipline. Discipline is a big part of my methodology. It might sound like, oh, discipline, but discipline is actually freedom. And discipline is developing a structure, a simple non-negotiables that you stick to every single day, no matter what. Social connection and life purpose. So chronic stress is highly inflammatory. It can weaken your immune system. Most of you know that, and lead to belly fat, right? So you want to really start looking at who you're hanging out with most, because you're the average of the people that use the 5 people that you spend the most time around. So I want you to start really thinking about that, right? You become the average. If 5 people that you're hanging around with are unhealthy and overweight, and many studies have been done on this, then you are much more likely to be that too, because it's normalized around you. If you're hanging around people who are always negative and angry and toxic, then that's going to brush off on you, right? Because it's normalized. So you want to start getting into a community of people who are completely the opposite, who have that vibration, that sort of frequency, if you like, of who you want to be. And do watch out for energy vampires, people in your life that when you walk away from that conversation or meeting, you feel drained, you feel awful. Your energy is drained. There are many things that are energy vampires as well. Scrolling on social media. I say to my clients, I never feel better after 20 minutes of scrolling on Instagram. Do you? I don't. Energy vampire. Do you have deep and meaningful connections with friends and family? You know, and that's something that we can work on. And what I'll stack on that is dealing with resentments. A lot of us live with resentments and resentments we've never really dealt with. You know, and that's a very important part of the process that I do, which is why the process is very kind of deep, you know, because resentments are toxic. They're going to choke you of your joy and your health and your health, basically, your health. So how do you practice your purpose? You know, because having that life purpose, do you believe that your life has great meaning and purpose? You know, and sometimes I think some women go, you know, we can get very stuck in, I don't know what my purpose is. I don't know what my purpose is. But I think we can all agree that our purpose is that we're here to really enjoy our life to the fullest, to be happy, healthy, joyous, and free, and to serve those we love at the highest level, right? So if that is our collective purpose here, then what are the steps that we need to do to enact that every day? Because we want to live it. It's not just something we journal on once in a while or on New Year's Eve, something that we live with every step we take, every bite we take, every conversation we have, every thought that we have. So let's check in with your inner counsel. And this is something, again, that's really, really useful to do, to check in with your inner counsel. And what we'll do, because I'm going to bring Rachel on now, we're going to, if we have time, again, we are going to do a little exercise, which we will have time, where we're going to do some breathing and check in with your inner counsel. But Rachel, I would love you, my darling, to pop on right now. If you unmute and put your video on. Rachel, what's interesting for you to listen to? Because Rachel, I knew you there and I'm like, oh my gosh, Rachel, you've been doing this. You've been doing it, right? Every bit of this for the last, 14, 16 weeks. So Rachel, thank you for coming on. As I said to everybody, I know you're extremely busy. So Rachel's somebody who has a full-time job. Her life is very full, is what she does. So you might go, Rachel, I think a lot of women who have watched this week are probably like, well, how the heck am I going to do all this? Never mind even learning how to, eat in this way. So I'd love to ask you, Rachel, how did you feel before you started working with me, before Ignite?
Thanks. It's so funny because I remember my intro call and I just said, I feel hot. I feel not like hot flash hot, but I am just always hot and layered and heavy, but like heavy. So,
Mm.
yeah, I was just weighed down and very I just could not pull it together because there's so many things that you talk about that, we know or we know parts of or we've heard, and I could not pull it all together myself.
Yeah, yeah. And that's so often the frustration, isn't it, Rachel? Because
Mhm.
there's no shortage of information out there,
Yeah, so
right?
true.
We hear it on a podcast, we hear it on there's great information out there.
Mhm.
But as you say, and I always say, Rachel, information isn't transformation because if you're not actually doing it and integrating it and putting it together, then it's just coming in as more information. Rachel, my darling, what I've so enjoyed working with you, by the way, and I love you so much. Rachel, what sort of, you had an idea of what you were getting into, but what surprised you most about this process, about Ignite?
It was really kind of about halfway through, and things just started clicking because it feels overwhelming. It feels, none of it is required, but I felt like you gave us a lot of ways to access the information. There's documentaries, there's books, there's modules, there's exercises, there's like, and it felt a little overwhelming, but I found that I could take what pieces worked for me and set the others aside until later. Like, I don't have time to do the books right now, but I can listen to a documentary or I can, check out this chapter or, in all the modules, you have so many fantastic pieces that are broken up into like here's a little snack bit about exercise, here's a little snack bit about nutrition. And when I needed to remind myself or when I thought, oh gosh, what was that, what was that catchy saying? What was that acronym? What was that thing? They were all there in this library. And it was like it was like a college course of information and all the information in different ways, which was so helpful.
Yeah, yeah. And then the community, because Rachel, you really dove in. I mean,
Hmm.
you were there on almost every, we do a lot you do a lot of coaching with me, right? And a
Hmm.
lot of live, you're
Yeah.
with me in a group twice a week. So what was that like? Because for somebody like you that's relatively solitary in your work, right?
Hmm.
You're working,
Hmm.
on remotely and whatnot. What was it like for you to be in
Yeah.
this small group of women who were all doing this together?
They were like it was like my anchor points of the week. It was my, 2 or 3 times a week that I knew I was going to be able to check in. It's always in Zoom and my goal was always to like get as creative as possible with emojis and reactions and supporting people. And it came back to me, which was really awesome. So, um, yeah, that the community piece of it, I felt like I could take as much as I needed because I was giving and I was getting and I don't know, that's really sounds like a strange way to describe it, but I really felt like as much as I needed was there for me.
Yeah, you're so right. It's so reciprocal, isn't it?
Mhm.
Because you're
Mhm.
there sharing, and we have a very particular way of sharing and celebrating, and it's very infectious, this community. So you're giving and you're adding to that, and then you're being nourished and fed. Because I'm really of the belief that you can't do this on your own. I just am. I think it's
Mhm.
really hard to do this on your own because we go back into our community and our life. But when you're with this cohort of women who are all sort of crushing it together, it's pretty exciting. Rachel, talk about results for a second before you go. I know Rachel made me giggle so much because Rachel was saying on one of the calls, she was like, I mean, you're going from strength to strength, you're getting physically stronger every single week. And Rachel, you were even saying, Rachel was going, I've got to up my shoe game because literally my legs and my ankles are getting thinner. So just inspire our ladies with just a couple of results that you feel super proud of.
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, I came in feeling really hot, really heavy, really puffy. And it was literally about 10 days in, I was like, "Oh, there's my ankles. I haven't seen them in a while."
Yeah,
And
exactly.
it just, kind of kept going from there, which was amazing. Overall, over the 14 weeks, I lost about 27 pounds.
Wow,
Um,
Rachel, that's
yeah, yeah, it was awesome. It just like, I mean, you do such a good job of like pulling wins out of us. It was always like, it's almost not the point. I've lost some more weight. It's almost not the point because
but
I've
it
also
almost
gained this,
isn't.
this, and this. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah,
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 exactly. So, yeah,
yeah.
no, we had a ton of fun on those calls, and there's lots of fun things that with the cohorts I've just kind of seen continue on. But yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, one
and
one
will continue on as well. You just started, Rachel. And Rachel, I want to point out one thing. You released 27 pounds, but at the same time, Rachel, you are gaining so much lean muscle mass.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
Rachel's got these plans now. What's one of your plans that you're going to go do? Your dream plans?
Yeah, yeah. I'm headed to a yoga retreat in Finland in January, up way north in the Arctic Circle. So, one of my things was to get the big coat. So I brought that to one of the calls to just like all these things to kind of work towards. I think you mentioned in this call earlier that future dream self. You did a really good job of guiding us all to picture what our dream self was doing. And part of mine was this amazing trip up into the Arctic and into the cold and doing a whole bunch of yoga nidra to just
To visualize it
relax.
and to
Yeah.
see it. And Rachel, it's so exciting because I remember Rachel saying on one of the calls, because Rachel's a good show and tell, and she came with the big coat with the thing, and we
Yeah.
were like, oh my gosh, we can see it. And
Yeah.
so realizing, because ladies who are watching, it's not just about losing weight. As Rachel said, it's almost like that almost becomes secondary, losing the fat. But because you're so focused on what am I going to do? It's for what? In service of what? And look at what Rachel's doing. She's like doing one of the things that she really wanted to do. She's doing it. She's not just thinking about it. And Rachel, rather than being weighed down,
Hmm.
now you have the energy, you have the strength, because Rachel's really getting some strong muscles going there. And that's a
Hmm.
big part of what you're doing. And so as it's extraordinary to see that you've released that much fat and gained that much muscle in such a short
Hmm.
amount of time. So, Rachel, I know you've got to go, and I'm going to love you and leave you and let you get on with your working day. But super quickly, what would you say to anybody who's watching, who's like, oh, I don't know, this is a big thing, and I don't know, and I'm a little bit scared, and because most people are terrified, obviously, of making a big step and doing something different and overwhelmed by it, or it's a big investment. What would you say to that person?
I can't say enough good things about it, and I really would say there are ways to do it that works for you. I do. I work a lot. I teach. I have a lot going on. And I just found that there's ways to do it. And having those modules, open, I'm looking forward to going back through them. So there is a way. And I think Sophie and her team have such an understanding of what life throws at everybody, that this is not a pie in the sky, oh, you're going to set aside 14 weeks and you're going to do it and it's going to be fantastic. No, you're going to fit it into all the other
Yeah,
life things
exactly.
we've got going on. And
Yeah.
you really
Yeah.
can.
Yeah. Yeah. Life is in session for all of us. Rachel, thank you for coming on. Love you so much. So excited to see your continued journey.
Thank you.
Because Rachel, as everybody, is in the tribe for life now.
Hmm.
But thank you for sharing. It was just lovely for you to share this stage of where you are and what you've managed to achieve and accomplish in such a short amount of time. Most people will not even do this in 10 years, Rachel, and you've really dialed it in inside of 14 weeks. So I'm super proud of you. Love you lots. Bye bye. And I'll see you on the other side. Bye, Rachel.
Thanks.
Bye
Bye.
bye. All right, ladies. So that was our lovely Rachel, who came on, and Rachel and I have been laughing, and because Rachel is going for is moving to heavier weights now, which is really interesting, and is giving me a run for the money with the weights, with the heavy lifting. So it's super exciting. So, ladies, I think we are going to have time, which is really great, for some Q&A. And we're also going to have time to do this little meditation that I want to take you through. And it's a really, really powerful meditation. So give yourself the gift of sticking around. We'll do it in about 5 minutes. It's a beautiful, beautiful. It's a little tiny breathwork tool and a tiny meditation we're going to do. And then I'll stick around a tiny bit for some Q&As. So Catherine and the team will pick some Q&As out. Before we do, ladies, honestly, if you're struggling with putting this together, and I think what Rachel said was such a good point. She said, look, there's a lot of good information out there, and there is, we live in an information age. There's no shortage of. But if you are overwhelmed, as Rachel said, and knowing you're just not putting it together, you're not getting the transformation, you're not really dialing it in. And you just think, oh, you could just be here and go, well, I'm going to try and figure this out by myself, right? And you cobble it together and you keep on going and you try to do it by yourself. And you get to another, I always go, it's those milestones, isn't it? You get to another Christmas or a holiday or another birthday or that reunion. And still, you haven't dialed it in. You just haven't. And then you start going, oh boy, another year has gone by that I'm still looking at myself in the mirror or looking at my reflection going, oh, I'm still looking, as Rachel mentioned, feeling hot and heavy and overwhelmed and not good about myself. Rachel would not be going on that trip if she wasn't feeling the way that she is. She wouldn't be able to. She wouldn't be able to keep up. So if now you're beginning to go, I don't think I can ever do that thing that I would really, that one way back then I dreamt of doing, that hike up and down the Grand Canyon, that travel that I wanted to do, because I'm just not feeling great, not feeling myself, haven't got the energy, overweight, got belly fat. Maybe some of you are struggling out there with chronic disease. Maybe you're pre-diabetic, maybe you're type 2 diabetic, maybe there's other issues going on that are really, really difficult for you and you're really struggling. And you deep down inside, you're like, I'm really scared. I'm scared because nothing has worked for me in the past. I think that's the most common thing I hear over and over is nothing has worked, Sophie, nothing. When I speak to women, when I get on the phone with them, I go, what have you tried? What isn't working? And they go, well, nothing is working. And then we dig in and we look at everything that they've done and nothing worked long-term because they didn't have a sustainable solution and a holistic lifestyle that Rachel talked about, all the little pieces that I help you to put together in your busy life. That's the key. Right? Because if we all had time to go, oh, I'm going to go on a sabbatical and I've got time and I'm going to go on vacation and I can do wellness. That's not what my clients do. We're not like that. We are busy women with a lot going on in every area of our life. So the key is to know how to integrate all of these tools in. So if you want help doing that, and honestly, ladies, if you want to be like Rachel, in as little, we're talking 14 weeks, and there's a lady who's just in my program right now, 7 weeks in, and she's released over 20 pounds of fat. So if you want to get to January this year, instead of getting to January going, oh, well, here we go, I'm making my New Year's resolutions again, the ones that you never kept from the last 20 years, but hello, we'll just try again, resolution, I'm giving up sugar, or I'm going to do this one thing. Right? And come on, deep down inside, I've done that before in my life. And it's so discouraging because you get halfway through the year and you're like, oh, I didn't stick to it. I didn't do it. Right? And I want you to ask yourself, honestly, how many summers have you got left? How many summers have you got left to enjoy your life to the fullest? Right? I'm 60. So how many summers have I got left? So if I helped you to get into the best shape of your life tomorrow or within 14, 16 weeks, what would that be like? What are you going to do with those summers that you've got left? If you've got energy and drive and strength and you feel great and attractive and beautiful and confident, what are you going to do with that? That's what I want you to think about. And honestly, ladies, if you want help in putting that together, that's where the invitation and the opportunity is for you to join Ignite if you want to. You know, you can go to get and try and put these things together, and some of you may be able to. But if you are somebody who's sitting here going, Sophie, I just think I need help, and I think I need some hand holding, then the opportunity is to join Ignite. And it's actually a four-month accelerated wellness program with a 14-week curriculum, very powerful curriculum that Rachel was talking about. But either side of that curriculum, you're going to have plenty of time, the beginning and the end, full 4 months of really dialing this in with me. So it's a lot of hand-holding. You work with me personally. I'm so passionate about this program. It's why I've created this program, because I really understand, or understood when I created this over 5 years ago, that if somebody wanted to have transformation, and I was way more interested in helping somebody have that it was going to take a lot of personalization and a lot of customization in order for that a one-size-fits-all doesn't work, right? Otherwise, it's like fitting a square peg into a round hole. So what we do the moment you start and the moment that you enroll is within days, you're on a newbie call with me, a personal newbie call, where we're going to go over everything, your supplementation, your health history, what's going on, what you have trouble. And then we're going to start crafting a personal, customized plan for you. And this is even before you start your curriculum. And then every step of the way, every week, you do tracking. And we track with you. Coach Mary, who's an amazing nutritionist, literally tracks everything with you, your food, your activity, all these areas of your life. And we help you to tweak it and to change it and to get it so that it feels so good and so right and so perfect for you, right? And so that's what this journey is. It's very, very powerful. You work with 3 coaches, with myself personally. I think what makes us stand apart from anything out there is the level of support, because I'm available to you 6 days a week. That's pretty unusual, right? It's almost like coaching on demand that you have us. But aside from that, you've got your group coaching sessions. That's me live, every single week, and Coach Mary really diving in and fine-tuning your nutrition. You've got one-on-one calls and so on. There's a lot of moving pieces, but all of this is in the fact sheet. So just go into the chat and look and click on the fact sheet, and you can look at that. And the investment for the program, this is how simple and affordable that we've made it. So the regular pricing, anytime other than sort of now, really, for the lifetime program, because it is lifetime, right? Because Rachel's going into an alumni group, and she's going to have coaching with me and the group, live coaching and cooking classes and on for the rest of her life at no additional cost. So it's a program for life. So the regular investment is just $6,000, is $6,000. But if you have registered for this workshop, then I'm taking $1,000 off. But there is a ticking clock on that, and that is finished by the end of the day, Tuesday. So if you want to do it and you want to give yourself probably the greatest gift that you will ever give yourself in your life, then that's available to you. It's all on the fact sheet, which is in the chat. And if you're watching the replay, you can click on the link below. There is a split pay option. The other thing I must not forget to tell you is that I have a special VIP group. And I only have 8 spots available in this VIP group. At this time, at this moment, I have 8 spots available. And the VIP group is a special group to be in, because you're going to get 6 extra semi-private sessions with me to really, really dial in your journey. And it makes a huge, huge difference. Okay. So those will go very, very quickly. It's a first come, first serve basis. So if you want to get one of those, 2 things that you need to do. 1, you go to the fact sheet, all the details are there. You can pick the option that works best for you, or just book a discovery call with me. And Catherine, if you would please put the link, because these calls are going to go quickly. So if you could just put the link kindly, or Coach Wendy in. And if you have some questions about whether or not Ignite is right for you, whether it's right for you, because a lot of you will have questions. You'll be like, I don't know. I'm scared. You know, how is this going to be different? Or I've got this particular health condition, or I've got this particular circumstance in my life, and I need to really talk to you. I need to understand if this is really going to meet my goals before I make this investment. Then book a discovery session with me, but do it now. Do it now. You and I will get together, we'll put our heads together, and we'll figure out whether it's a good fit or not. Okay. So the link is there. My recommendation is get onto that as soon as possible, because we've only got a few days before the holidays. We're all busy, right? My calendar's busy. So just get on and book your discovery call with me now. That is your next step. All right. So now, ladies, I am going to let me know, ladies, in the chat. Do you have any burning questions? Let's do that. Let's do any burning questions. And then I'm going to take you into just this lovely, lovely meditation. So any burning questions? And I'll just have a look out for that. And if we want to do that, we can do that. So any questions at all? It can be questions about anything we've gone over today. It can be questions about nutrition. Okay. I don't think we have any questions. So, my friends, let's do it. Let's do a beautiful, beautiful little breath work just for 5 minutes and a little meditation here. So come into a comfortable position. Feet, if you can, if you're sitting, right, which I recommend that you do, just take time out to do this. If you can sit, feet flat on the floor, feel yourself grounded in your chair. So your feet are grounded. Your sit bones are grounded in the chair, and sit with a tall spine. So a beautiful tall spine. Just check in with your posture right now. If you're all crunched over to one side or hunched, you know, the hunching over our phone position is also a posture of depression, which is one of the many things that I teach my clients. So let's lengthen the spine, let's open the heart, and take a couple of cleansing breaths. If it feels safe and comfortable for you to do so, invitation is to close your eyes. Couple of beautiful, soft cleansing breaths. See white light going from head to toe now, just releasing any distractions, any tension, just for the next few moments. Can you sense the inhale? Slow, beautiful inhale. Can you sense the air coming in through your nostrils? And a long, slow exhale. So ladies, I'm going to invite you to practice the 4-7-8 breath with me now. It's very simple, the 4-7-8 breath. In a moment, what we're going to do together is we're going to inhale to a count of 4 beats. Gently hold the breath to a count of 7 and slowly exhale to a count of 8. It's simple and it's powerful. And this is how you can bring your cortisol levels down whenever you need to. So relax your jaw, relax your face. You don't force the breath. Allow it to be very gentle and very soft. So we're going to do 5 cycles together. So inhaling to a count of 4 beats. Hold gently to a count of 7. Slowly exhale to a count of 8. Empty yourself of your breath. Let's go again. Inhale to a count of 4. Hold to a count of 7. Exhale to a count of 8. Release the belly. Release the shoulders. Surrender. Letting go completely. Twice more. Gently inhale to a count of 4, feeling your heart expand. Hold for 7, feeling that expansion, that gratitude, that joy within. And exhale for 8, letting go of tension, fear, the limitations, the stories. Just put it down. Ladies, let it go. Empty yourself of breath. And then finally, one more time, let's inhale. Hold. And slowly exhale. And ladies, lean in and soften into your stillness within. So we're going to go within now to your inner council. So I want you to imagine that you're laying a table out in front of you. And you're inviting to this table that you've laid out in front of you all those alive or deceased who love you or have loved you unconditionally and have your best interests at heart. So you're inviting to this table all of those alive or deceased who love you unconditionally and have your best interests at heart. And now you're inviting to your table your future dream self, your future desired self, that version of you that is the wisest, most evolved, loving, healthiest version of you. Invite her to the table. And now invite your higher power to the table. That power that you identify as being greater than you and your small mind and your limited thoughts. Some of you may call that God, or spirit, or consciousness, or creative intelligence, whatever word you use to describe that which you deeply, deeply connect with. And now you have all of these beings present at your table. Ask them. Ask them if they love you unconditionally. Ask if you are loved unconditionally. And ask them if you have value. If you are worthy. Am I worthy? Ask them. And now ask if there's anything else that you need to hear in this moment. Is there anything else that you need to know or hear? Is there any other message that you need to hear today? And then, ladies, slowly, let's bring ourselves out. Let's take a couple of cleansing breaths, thanking our inner council, for placing our hands on our heart, both hands on your heart. Feel the beating of your heart. Breathe into the beating of your heart, where this inner council resides within, and know that you can always, always come back. If you have a decision to make, or you're at a crossroads in your life or you feel stuck, that's a place that you can always go. That's your deepest and most valuable resource. All right, ladies, I've so enjoyed spending this time with you today. Go ahead, book your call with me, book your discovery call with me, and let's discover and figure out if this will be a good fit for us to work together. And any questions that you might have, I can answer. And again, please book your call as soon as possible, because we've all got our busy coming up to the holiday plans. And I want to be able to, respect your time and make sure that I get you in and that I get you sorted. All right, ladies. Ultimately, I'm here for you. And I think every woman, and what we always say, certainly as far as Ignite is concerned, and you'll meet many, many other women along the way, is, I think what sets us apart is we love you so much, right? You're not just somebody else who's coming in and doing this program. We get to know you on such a deep level, and we get to love you. And ultimately, we will not ever let your hand go until you feel complete, until you have the outcome that you wanted, that you came here for. All right. Love you, ladies. And I will see you later. And if you have any, questions, honestly, just, as I said, best to book that call. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye-bye.